Hello. Hello, everybody. This is Vlad from Kagi, and we are doing a live AMA. Um, so how's this going to work? We have compiled a number of questions, few dozen questions. They have been, we had a forum open for a couple of weeks, and Ezra kindly compiled that in a document, which I will share in a second. And okay, let's see. Hopefully this works. Share. Oh, yes. Okay. Just double check. Yes. Okay. So you guys can see that. This beautiful looking application here is obviously Orion browser. So inviting everybody who hasn't tried it yet to try it. So I'm going to go through these questions, which are grouped into different sections, just for clarity and efficiency reasons. And then at the end of each section, I will pause, I guess, and see if there were any questions from the audience. I guess, Zach, I will leave it to you to decide if you want to propagate them or not, in case there are any clarifications needed or anything similar. But since we have a lot of these, I also want to be efficient. So, please don't mind if I don't take a lot of time with some questions. What else? We have a couple of team members here that may be better equipped to answer some questions. So you may want to give them a speaker privilege, Zach.
They should have it.
They already have it. Okay, sounds good. Well, let's then get started. So, first group of questions comes around jurisdiction and EU partnerships. Is Kagi considering moving to an EU jurisdiction where privacy is more respected? There's a lot in this question. The short answer is no. We are not considering moving to an EU jurisdiction. We don't see any need or reason for that. US has pretty strong privacy laws, especially in California. And also, I just personally believe that the way companies behave around privacy is driven mostly by the business model, not really where they're incorporated. And you can have companies with good privacy practices that are in US, and you can have companies with bad privacy practices in EU. And so just on a high level, I don't see any benefit. If anything, I saw recently that like even Proton was thinking of moving outside of Switzerland because of proposed change in the law there and things like that. So you cannot shield yourself, sort of from these kind of things. As a user, I feel it's mostly about choosing products from companies that have healthy business models that do not require user data, and Kagi is certainly one of those companies. Would you join Ecosia and Quant to build a European search index? Yes, if invited, we would certainly join the effort, and I think we have a lot to offer in terms of, what constitutes a high-quality page. That invitation has not been extended to us, though, so I cannot really speak for them. Would Kagi consider a partnership with someone like Proton out of Switzerland, given there's privacy-first mentality in its offering of services that would benefit from Kagi integration? Has Kagi considered working with them? Yes, we did, and we have been in discussion with Proton for a while. We know that there's a lot of user base overlap. And there are some things that Proton does that we don't, and do not intend to, like VPN. So there's certainly opportunity for that, and we are actively working on some of those opportunities. So hopefully we'll be able to announce something in that respect in the future. When are you moving completely to EU? Asking is a user concerned about their data and privacy. Again, the way we really approach privacy, and I encourage everybody to read our privacy policy, which has been praised for simplicity of language and getting to the bottom of things, is really not to collect user data. So it doesn't matter, what happens to Kagi, even if we get hacked or anything. There's not a lot, if any, user data there. We are just not in the business of user data. We see user data as a liability, and by design, we choose to have as little as possible. So, does any questions around this?
No, not really. Suggestion to
Okay.
move to Antarctica or the moon.
Or China, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Finances. How is Kagi doing financially? Is it profitable? The answer is yes. We are actually break-even profitable, and we have been for a year now. So since June last year. We kept growing since, but we also kept growing our team, and basically this is what we used most of the money for, or if not all of the money, just to expand the team and pay people more. And we will continue to do that. So the goal is really to keep the company sustainable with infinite runway, because we are here for the long term, and we see this as a marathon, not a sprint. So right now, Kage is perfectly set up to fight this battle for the long term, for whatever it takes. Okay.
There's
Moving on.
a quick yeah. There's a
Okay,
quick
sure.
clarification. Someone asked that it sounds like they asked it sounds like possibly one purchase of both Proton and Kagi is in one plan. If that's what we meant by like a partnership, I think.
Bundling
Getting
is
kind of
definitely something we are exploring with like-minded companies. And sure, why not? That would be I think, of interest. But we are not the only ones to decide. That's how partnerships works, and these kind of things usually take a lot of time. There's a lot of business development going on to figure all this, and even just when you think about a bundle, just to scratch the surface, like who handles the billing data, what happens if you like one service and want to cancel the other one, and like there's a whole bunch of complexities underneath the surface. So this is why these things take time. But yes, the answer is yes. We would consider something with that. Dependency. How dependent is Kagi on other search engines? What happens if Google decides to stop offering their API to Kagi? Will Kagi be affected by Bing API shutdown? Does Kagi use it at all? Brave was able to make their own full search index. Why can Kagi do the same? Or if Kagi can, by the way, sounds great. Is there progress into doing so? If not, why? So from day one, our strategy has been to leverage existing search indexes and build a premium product on top of it, among other things, re-ranking the data in a way that we felt was more user-friendly and in the best interest of the user. For example, downranking sites that have a lot of ads and trackers that these other search engines don't do, because they are dependent on the ads as a business model. And the reason we have adopted that strategy is because that's the only strategy a bootstrap startup can do to launch a product in the search space. Building a index is a huge undertaking. and and we are talking about billions of dollars here, and obviously we don't have that kind of money. Also, I think like philosophically, it's sort of redundant to do that. I feel almost like there should be a unique index of the web. So, for example, that we don't need to have all these crawlers hitting the websites, which is cost and, in many cases, unwanted resource cost for these websites. And it's just ridiculous that every company nowadays needs to have a crawler. And also, it would, if we had like a unique index, there could be many more search startups, not just Kagi offering products on top of that search index. So our philosophy has always been to focus on building the premium product, giving user more control, building search experience features that we were lacking, and not so much on crawling the entire web. Now we do crawl a tiny portion of the web, few million pages. That is the non-commercial web as part of our small web and other initiatives. So this is what gives Kagi results that often special flavor when you discover a small blog or a piece of writing from somebody that you would never find in other search engines. And we will keep doing that and expanding that. But our strategy has been to increase redundancy, basically, and use as many indexes as we can get our hands on. So currently, Kagi uses, I think, 5 or maybe even 6, and it has been our strategy from day one. So even if we get cut off by one search engine, we still have 3, 4, 5 others to work with. And so far, this strategy has worked fine. You also remember that we have advocated in the Google's DOJ case for Google's index to be open. And there is a pretty significant blog post that we've written on this topic, which you can find on our blog. And DOJ has included this in potential remedies, and I think this would solve a lot of problems like this. It's just stupidly expensive to build a search index of the entire web. Microsoft has done it. They spent 100 billion, I think, is the number in 20 years, and it's still bad. A question here mentions Brave did it, but do you know anyone paying for that? The quality is not that great. Like, it is good enough, but people would not pay for that quality. Remember, we are selling a product here. The search has to be absolutely the best. And there is a big gap between good enough, which most search engine are, and Kagi quality of search results, right? What makes people pay $10 a month? So yeah, one thing is to have a search index. The other one is to have such high quality that people would pay for it. Okay, any follow-up questions there?
Kind of. Someone asked explicitly if we were working on our own index, which you kind of, I think, covered a little bit.
Yeah,
If there
we
was
we
something more.
are, and we just hired a few more people for our search index team. So expanding that is something we want to invest on, but it will be in a way that we think contributes or complements the usage of external indexes. And by that, mostly I mean focusing on the non-commercial web. By the way, I estimate the non-commercial web to be about 100 million pages, 200 million maybe. So it's certainly doable for Kagi to cover that part at least. But whether Kagi will be trolling something like The Verge every day, I don't think so.
And kind of tangential to the dependency topic, someone was asking if it's possible to invest in Kagi.
Yes, it is. We occasionally do basically user investments. We did 2 of those in the past, and there is a link in our a 3-year blog post, I believe, in the section. There is a link in one of these sections, I think, to a forum where you can express interest as an investor. Somebody can probably link to that section in the comments. Okay. Okay, so let's do search. When can we expect local search results? It's a search restaurants, and it shows restaurants around my area. It's a major reason I go back to Google. We are working a lot on local search results, as you guys have probably seen in the recent weeks. We relaunched Kagi Maps. It's beautiful, and if you haven't checked it out, please do. It's a work in progress. There's a lot of going on with that, and we have certainly a huge ambition. We want to humanize the maps like we did with search. So there's going to be a ton of other stuff going in Kagi Maps. In particular, for this question, search restaurants shows restaurants around my area. Well, Google knows where you are. We don't. That's a major difference. So, some of the features we will be working on is, way to tell Kagi where you are. So when you search, we know where you are, so we can actually show you restaurants around you. So, there are some technical and privacy issues around getting to the level of experience you have maybe in Google Maps, but we will get there, and I hope that it will be in a better user experience as well. Are there any updates you can share regarding discussions with Apple, Google, Microsoft on getting Kagi as a system option? And in the EU, my Pixel phone lets me choose the search app for the default launcher widget, but Kagi isn't selectable despite being installed. When will this be an option? So we made some progress with this, in particular on Apple iPad. Kagi is, or rather Orion browser is one of the options you have for the default browser selection in EU. That is thanks to Orion being downloaded more than 1 million times, and iPad being the driver of huge number of those. But as you guys know, all these big companies really do not like doing these kind of things unless they can make money. And they sell the search engine slots in their browsers, or if it's Google, then obviously there's only one search engine that's default on all Android devices and things like that. It's so extremely hard to get into this. And even when regulators force them to have search engine choice or browser choice, like the cases in EU, in order for Kagi to achieve that, for example, on Android, we have to be in top 8 most downloaded apps. Now, Kagi app has like 10,000 downloads. And because we are a premium search engine, meaning paid search engine, we can never hope to compete with all the free search engines, right? And all the other ones are already in those top 8 slots, so they get downloaded even more every day. And we are, basically starting from zero. We have to compete with free. We have to compete with existing top 8. It's just not realistically going to happen. And so, we are doing our best. We are talking to Apple. They have been most receptive. There's a lot of overlap in our user base. We share often a link to Apple Safari feedback form where you can request Kagi to be included. And actually, Apple did reach out to us about this, and but these companies move very slowly. They are also dragged down by their own problems. And Kagi is still pretty niche in their eyes. We are talking about trillion-dollar companies with billions of users, and we have 50,000. So, in order for this to happen, we need a really strong Kagi advocate from inside these companies, I feel. Like it will not happen on based on the merit of numbers alone, as it just get dismissed as trivial. So I'm afraid that's the reality. We are doing our best. You guys can help us by writing these companies. If you use their products, you can demand that you have Kagi as an option, but there's not much we can do. We have very little leverage. It's just the way it is. An idea, if you support PPP and go all in on India, it's probably the biggest search market in the world, with the population yearning for data privacy, but a huge lack of that data privacy laws of products. Kagi will be a huge hit.
Price
Oh,
parity?
like regional pricing?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, this is one of the things that we get asked a lot. And the reason we cannot do regional pricing is that the cost of search is fixed. It doesn't matter if you're searching on Antarctica or New York, it costs us the same to deliver it, and you get exactly the same high quality results. It's not like we can make searches cheaper in India. Actually, it is probably more expensive for us to do searches in India than in New York because we need to add another data center there to reduce latency and all that. So if we find a way to reduce the cost of search, we would just do that for all users. We would not discriminate based on location or country they're from. And it just makes no sense for us to do regional pricing. You just physically cannot do that. How do you balance the pressure of going full AI chat interface versus list of search results? Hard. It's a hard problem, obviously. A lot of you are passionate, only search, no AI in my life users, and then a growing number of you have gone full AI mode, and Kagi is used by both. So it's super hard for our team. I think so far we have been able to produce um, meaningful product experiences that do balance this well. One of the favorite features in Kagi is, for example, the question mark at the end of the query, which gives you we call it a quick answer on demand, which is basically an LLM summarizing your search results. I use it quite often. So it's one way that we find this hybrid mode where users can have stuff on demand. Now, having said that, it's clear that AI is getting more and more used, it's getting more and more advanced, and in the future, the paradigm of consuming information will certainly change. So this is why we are also investing in Assistant, but being true to our roots of being a search engine. And we don't plan to abandon that ever. I think search will be more important than ever in the future. I think the number of search queries will explode. All these AI agents will be the users of search, and when the user does the search or a query to AI, the LLM will do 100 search queries. So the number of searches will explode in the future, and having high quality search will be more important than ever. Because all these models will converge to the same place. And we almost see that today. Like every week there's a new model, it's just fractionally better. And all these companies have models and they will converge at the same place, but the quality of an AI assistant will then completely depend on the quality of search that it gets. And this is where we plan to be number one. Are you planning on adding more search widgets? Ask information about a show or movie. What is your mentality with these types of widgets? Absolutely. We know that we have not done a great job with widgets. And we did launch some widgets, but they are in need of refresh as well. And then we completely lack some widgets that people would expect. For example, sports results. And so we have been aware of this for about 2 years, and there is a huge ticket in our backlog for this. The problem is this is extremely hard to do. And so we have chosen a path of, you could say, less resistance, just done a million other small things in the meantime. But I'm happy to say we started working on this recently, and we are making some progress. I think widgets will be super important, both in search and in AI context. We want to make them interchangeable. And we also want to make it customizable and offer an SDK. So any user can create a widget that they can then feed to Kagi, whether the search or assistant. In a similar way, you can create your own lens or your custom CSS or these kind of things. I think this SDK is the most important thing because Kagi will never create a Magic the Gathering widget, but some of our users may, and then I will enjoy that. So yeah, big plans around widgets, and sorry that we kept you waiting so long for this. It is frustrating to me as well. It's just a huge, huge project and a very complex one. Okay, any clarifications around search?
Is the cost of search for Kagi slowly trending up, down, or kind of fixed?
It has been historically the same, because even if a provider reduced the cost, we would then add more providers. And then in recent years, people started using quick answer more. There's obviously cost associated with LLMs. So it's kind of has remained the same. I couldn't say it's dropping. And if anything, I do see that it might go up in the future as search becomes more important overall, especially in the context of AI chatbots. So yeah, I do not expect this to significantly reduce in the future.
Okay, yeah. Move on.
Okay, let's go. Privacy. Kagi stands for privacy. How about implementing a takedown agent for content that would harm one's personal privacy? I guess takedown agent means being able to send a request to take down some content. Yeah, if I understood this correctly, it does make sense, and I would suggest making a Kagi feedback feature suggestion for this if there's not one already.
Yeah, there's a popular. Oh, we have it pinned right now, but one thing we're exploring with the community is having collaborative lists of like shared like domain rankings and adjustments and whatnot. So that might fall into something like this where people have a common list of sites that they trust or whatnot or don't trust. So should be able to
Okay.
find that in the feedback form. Yeah.
Okay. What's up with old Kagi AI manifesto that implies no privacy? I saw it on a Wayback Machine. I have a ton of questions. Does it apply to modern Kagi? If not, how could you prove it? So I'm not sure what is this person talking about. We never had a manifesto that implies no privacy. The Kagi manifesto that we basically call one post named Age of PageRank is over, our manifesto, and it's from the old Kagi AI website. Now it's transferred on our blog. So it's either this person misunderstood something or yeah, I'm not sure how to address this, but if you are listening to this, I'm happy to take your question through email, vlad@kagi.com, and we'll clarify.
I have a question that maybe this person meant. Does Kagi plan to sell the company ever?
No, we don't plan to sell. I did not build a company with plans to sell. If it eventually happens, we would carefully consider it, but We are not waking up with plans to sell. That's not how we organize as a company. We are waking up with figuring out how to survive the next 5 years. In the sea of ad-based and VC subsidized free stuff everywhere. So that's that's what I'm thinking about, and our team is. So
Okay. Someone asked, and I can answer this one. With regards to privacy, are searches monitored in any way? For example, locally illegal queries. Not sure locally illegal means, but the short of it is no. You can check our privacy policy. We have a very short retention on any logs that we keep, and they're not like plainly linked back to your account or anything like that. So, effectively, no. Yeah, we don't monitor anything in terms of content goes. If anything's causing problems with our infrastructure, we look into that. But as long as you're not causing any problems for us, we're not monitoring anything like that.
okay. Payments/plans. When will Monero payment support be added? A member of our team, Seth, has committed to doing that over the summer. Seth, if you're here, do you still stand by this?
Yes.
I'll take it as a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We plan to do this over the summer, so we'll be adding Monero
Okay.
and also some other payment options, probably. So.
Okay. Thank you, Seth.
Yeah.
There's your answer. Would Kagi be free sometime? Sure, if your neighbor or friend pays for it, then it will be free for you. But somebody has to pay for search, and if it's not you and not your friend, then it's a complete stranger, and that's probably not what you want.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's worth taking the opportunity. In the blog post, we announced the free search portal kind of thing. So we've had a lot of questions about that in our
Yes, we
Discord.
can
So maybe
mention
it's
that.
worth touching on it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So we did announce launching free search portal, which is just another way to make Kagi more accessible, basically. Now, when you get to kagi.com and you're not signed in, you obviously there's a landing page and you have to sign up. And when you tell somebody about Kagi, that's a friend or family, and they see that, it's not the best experience. So what we did, and is gonna roll out very soon everywhere, is when people who are not Kagi users come to kagi.com, there will be a search box like any other search engine. Basically, you will be limited to 50 searches, but at least those 50 will be frictionless. There's no account, there's no requirements, and then they can sign up for an account and get an extra 100, basically like they do now when they sign up for an account. So basically you get 150 instead of 100, with the first 50 being frictionless, no account needed. And we did this in response to the growing need, where people often tell us, I don't sign up for services I don't intend to commit, or my friend told me that he couldn't try because he had to sign up and that was too much, and so this is coming in the next week or so. But again, we are not going to be free after those 150. You have to pay for it if you plan to continue using Kagi.
Yeah. Someone asks
Okay.
how we fight bots. Someone asks how will you fight bots or scrapers if you start providing limited free access. The short of it is we've engineered it to hopefully be. We're using something like Cloudflare's turnstile captcha or whatnot, only for like people operating in this free mode. And there's some additional protections that we're adding just at the network level on infrastructure. So, and as we roll this out, we're going to roll it out progressively, make sure people aren't abusing it, and we're seeing that the conversions that we want to see are happening. So yeah, so it should hopefully be inconvenient enough and not lead to any like significant abuse vectors that we're not like recuperating from people actually trying it and subscribing and things like that. So
Okay, I would love to use Kagi. I just cannot afford $10 a month, but do want unlimited searches. Will there be a subscription so that I don't get AI features? You by default you don't get any AI features. They are all on demand, and just until a few months ago, the unlimited plan was $10 a month and did not include any AI assistant or anything. We have since added that as an added value to our subscribers, and as I say, it's completely optional. Removing it would not really meaningfully reduce the cost down for us to be able to offer search at $5 a month unlimited, for example. So we always had this plan where there was a $5 300 searches for vast majority of people out there, then $10 a month for power users get unlimited searches, and then recently added access to cheaper AI models. We call them standard AI models, which are very cheap and do not really influence our cost structure. And again, they're completely on demand too. So there is not really a lot of leeway for us to create another plan. Plus, we don't really want to deal with complexity of that. Feel like we already have too many plans. Adding a fourth one, well, we have 3 + 2, 5 plans. Adding a sixth one, I don't think it's really productive. So, yeah. Can you add plans that don't include LLM? I guess that's the same as the previous one. I love Kagi, but I've been conflicted about paying monthly for search. Can you have a one-time but keep forever kind of system, like buy 500,000 searches for a fixed price? I mean, all these things address a portion of users and are incredibly hard to create and maintain then. And so we even had something like pay-per-use pricing model, which while popular with a tiny fraction of users, vast majority hated it. So we went back to subscription. Once we have Monero, though, and with privacy pass tokens, I think that would allow for a mechanism for you just to buy tokens, meaning searches. So you would basically have this. You would be able to buy, 100,000 tokens, and then use Kagi through that in that way. I think this is best we can do right now. Obviously, and whenever we had a billing related things, like we don't want to be a billing company. We want to be a search company. Our development resources are precious. You guys want so much, and we don't want to put the dev team on building more advanced payment systems. That's just how we look at it. So compromises has to be made, and thanks for your understanding. Oh wow, Kagi Mail got a whole bunch of questions. Any follow-ups on payments?
Let's see. Someone mentioned that Mulvad offers a gift card for time on Amazon. If we saw that as a possible future outlet, without going into like crypto payments and things like that.
Yeah, it just adds complexity to the whole billing system, and again, allocating the few resources that we have to actually making search better is how we think about our resources. Payment complexity is not something we want to deal with. We actually want to reduce it if possible. So,
yeah. And then Yannick is asking, why do you have blue hair?
why do I have blue hair?
Yeah, Yannick was asking.
Well, oh, Yannick. Okay. Well, read the latest blog post. There is a section 5 in that blog post that explains why do I have blue hair. It washed off, by the way. It was much bluer a few days ago, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's do Kagi Mail. Email is a crowded, competitive market. Why expand the portfolio instead of focusing limited resources on fixing bugs and stability in your core products like Orion and Search? I have addressed this in our 3-year anniversary blog post in detail. It is about creating an ecosystem of products versus being a single product company. There have been many search engines and browsers attempted before Kagi, obviously, and almost none of them succeeded. And I saw that the main problem for that was that there are basically 3 ways to consume the web for a typical consumer: that's search, browser, and email. This is 90% of consumption of internet. And if you just have the search engine and your competitor has browser and email, then they have too many friction points to get your customer back. And remember, we are fighting with competition that is free. So just from a business perspective, the way to solve this is you have to create an entire ecosystem so you can offer a holistic replacement for the competitor's ecosystem. And right now, every such ecosystem in the world, and there are only 5 companies in the world that offer search, browser, and email end-to-end. Each of these ecosystems are ad monetized, and there's no option, there's no choice. And we want Kagi to be that 6th option that is user-friendly, user-centric, and one which you can pay with your wallet instead of your attention and data. This is why we are creating Kagi ecosystem. This has been planned for day one, and we just didn't have enough resources to do it. But we are ramping our efforts on launching email, and hopefully that will create this ecosystem. And this gives us so much opportunity in terms of integration. I addressed that in the blog post as well. But basically, none of these ecosystems, none of the products in these ecosystems talk to each other right now. Like, you cannot search your emails in Google, for example, even if you have a Gmail account, and it's just ridiculous. And there's all sorts of integration you can do now, especially with AI, between browser, search, and email that we plan to take advantage of and sort of build in that in the way that leverages all the new opportunities. So I think there's a lot to be done, and I think Kagi has a lot to offer. And entering a crowded, competitive market was never a fear I had. And otherwise there would be no Kagi. So email is incredibly big responsibility, how you keep it going for 10 to 20 years. We understand that, and there's a lot going on with email in particular. It's the first time we will be also storing user data on our servers and things like that. But from day one, we are building with openness in mind. So from day one, you should be able to both import and export your inbox and move it elsewhere. And just from a time horizon perspective, we are a long-term company and have been from day one. We're not obsessing about growing to 1 million customers and selling, and it's just not the way we work. So we approach this seriously, and we'll do our best. And I cannot guarantee you that Kagi will last for 10 to 20 years, but what other company can't. So will Kagi Mail be sold separately for those of us with existing premium email to focus our dollars on search? Yes, we plan to have email as an option, obviously. You may, depending on how it ends up being, probably going to be a small subscription to have email, and then there might be a Kagi bundle where you get all Kagi products included for those who want to completely embrace the ecosystem. So it's going to be up to the user as always. Will Kagi Mail prioritize privacy features like end-to-end encryption and zero-knowledge architecture, or will it focus on compatibility with third-party email clients like Apple Mail, which would
Eric's on the
require...
call too. If you want to bounce any
Oh,
questions to
sure.
him.
Yeah, I think this is best to bounce off to Eric, who's the engineer working on Kagi Mail.
Yep. Hey, some of you guys might have seen me around in the Discord, but yeah. So just to caveat a little bit, when we talk about kind of more concrete features, we're very much still in active development, maybe 10 to 15% of where we want to be. So a grain of salt with anything in a concrete sense, but so we really do want to support encryption. But from a default, we do want to also support open standards. So, for example, our web mail client right now is using JMap, and sometimes when you lock it down to a full, zero knowledge architecture, you kind of lose a lot of important features that I think a lot of people expect. So I think for this one, it's going to be a very user choice where we definitely want to support it, and give users the option to do that if they choose to do that, versus forcing everyone into kind of a more lockdown system.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Does Kagi have plans to offer calendar and cloud storage along with Kagi Mail? If I'm using Kagi Mail, I would like to fully replace Proton Mail, Drive, Calendar. I think we're already doing something on the calendar integration, or at least plan to. Eric, maybe you can shine some light on that.
Yeah. I think calendar and contacts are just something that goes hand in hand with email. So those are definitely on our roadmap. I know a lot of times, a lot of services do end up adding cloud storage on top of that because you're inherently storing user data. But I think cloud storage would probably be the last on that list. The calendar and contacts would be actually on the roadmap. Yeah.
And my comment would be just hold your horses, because this is obviously asking us to do more, and just like 4 questions before we had, don't do more and focus on bugs and stability. We are obviously trying to balance all this. It's hard, but we are doing our best. So any updates on when Kagi Mail will be released? We have already released a preview for our distinguished members on Discord, and we hope to extend that to our contributor level members on Discord. Now, the full Kagi Mail launch, hard to say. There's still a lot to be done. But, if we can do this by the end of this year, I think that would be great. But obviously, we'll have to draw a line at some point and call it a release. So we'll see. We are about 15% done at this point. How will Kagi outcompete premium email services like Hey? With product quality. What else? Okay. That's for the mail section, Kagi Mail section. Any follow-ups?
Basically, what features would Kagi email have planned that sets it apart from Gmail or Proton Mail? If you have any examples in mind.
Sure. Let me share a few. And I did share more in the blog post, in the 3-year anniversary blog post. But for example, you should be able to email Kagi and get search results back. You should be able to email Kagi and get an assistant session going all through your email. You should be able to email Kagi and get content of a web page summarized, for example, or translated. You can send it text and have it translated. Like all these services that Kagi has been doing, email should become another interface to all of them, which is something no other ecosystem out there is able to do, or I guess they're able to do, just not doing that. You should be able to say, find all messages from mom and label them as mom. which I haven't seen any email service being able to do, and it's sort of trivial with LLMs. I send myself emails as a to-do thing, and I would like that to be better exposed to me as a user. Like the emails should recognize that user pattern, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who sends emails to himself as a to-do. So building interface around that. I already mentioned, like, if you search Kagi, why aren't you not able? Why wouldn't you be able to surface your emails as a search results as well? So there's all sorts of things I think we can do that others are not doing because they can't, because they lack the ecosystem, or they just do not see them important. So the way we think about it is, search used to find knowledge, browser to explore knowledge, and email to share knowledge. And this is how we are approaching it in the ecosystem. So I expect to see a lot of exciting features in email once we are done with it.
Yeah, and I saw someone mention a question about bringing your own domain. We're definitely working on support for that.
Yes, there are basics that we fully acknowledge. And then there are these advanced features, similar like we did search, really, guys. So there are basics of search, and then we built a whole bunch of never seen before features in search, and we plan to do the same with email. Okay.
Very cool. Yeah. So we'll move on just to be conscious of time. But yeah, if, Eric, you can
Wow.
keep answering
Okay.
questions in chat, and yeah.
Okay, I will speed up just because we are already at the hour mark and probably halfway down the document. Why does Orion fail quite badly in the cover your tracks privacy test? I thought Orion would be as good as Brave in preventing browser fingerprinting. Is that not true? That is true. Orion is good or better than other browsers out there. And this is thanks to our approach. There's a whole post about fingerprinting that I don't want to go into right now. You can find it on Orion feedback where I explain in detail our approach. Our approach is to basically block fingerprinters from running. Okay, and this is the part of the default built-in ad and tracker protection that Orion comes from, which is unique in the space because I think it's one of very few browsers that have both first-party and third-party ad and tracking prevention. Brave has only third-party. So our strategy is prevent fingerprinting from running. If you let a fingerprinting running, your browser fingerprint protection will do very little, because these fingerprinters are extremely sophisticated and they are not checking the size of your canvas. They're poking around your GPU and audio devices now, and no browser protects from that. So the strategy is prevent fingerprinter from running. Why does it fail on this test? Because we don't block the fingerprinter on this site. It's not in the malicious fingerprinting database. It just isn't there. So this is why it runs. And if it wasn't able to run, then no fingerprinting would take place. As simple as that. What's the status of the Linux version of Orion? It's going well. We reached our first milestone. There are a bunch of updates in the Orion feedback thread for Orion for Linux, and we will be sending a developer update, more comprehensive one, to everyone who signed up for notifications. There is a link for that I would appreciate somebody dropping in the comments so more people can sign up to get developer updates. But short story, we have the outer shell of the browser, almost all windows. Browsing works, but that's about 10% of the browser. Just to set the expectations, we are still aiming for March 26th launch date, and we'll probably have some alpha releases for people in the developer updates and distinguished members and contributors as always. Is Orion facing any pressure by other new AI-focused browsers such as Comet by Perplexity or Dia by the browser company? I guess it's not something we care about, to be honest. We are trying to build the best browser in the world. And others are free to attempt that as well. So the more the merrier, if you ask me. I understand that Orion for Linux is planned to have feature parity with macOS by March 26th, but can we partake in alpha beta? Yes, you can. I just talked about that. Why not work hard on extension support? I think this will give you an extra big boost. Well, some people don't use extensions, for example, myself. And so you care about some other things, and there are about 2,000 things that people care in Orion. This is not to say that this is not important. Of course it is. It's one of the defining features of Orion. We basically, spent 5 years now porting web extensions API to WebKit, something that even Apple didn't do. And we have 100 times less resources at least. So it's extremely, extremely hard. Right? If we focus on extension support, we could do only that for the next 2 years and do nothing else in the browser, maybe. And you guys don't want that. So as everything Kagi does, it's all a matter of balance and prioritization. And we do that based on your feedback. So instead of all extension support, we try to attack this and that API that affects important extensions. And with every Orion release, you see improvement in the coverage. So this is the how we are attacking this problem. And then at the same time, we are obviously bringing so much more into Orion, including porting it to another platform. All these are incredibly hard things. Our entire team is 5 people, guys, for the browser. So just to put things into perspective. Why invest resources into bringing Orion to Linux instead of using? Yeah, I mean, same class of questions. Group of users wants this, the other one wants the other thing. It's the way we approach this. We want to be an ecosystem company. You cannot be an ecosystem company without cross-platform support. So this is why we are doing Orion for Linux, and hopefully we'll do one for Windows and Android sometime in the future, resource permitting. Quick, any questions about Orion?
I don't think so. I've been answering some in the chat, so
Okay,
keep going.
sure. Thanks. Assistant, when will search within threads be implemented? It makes. Luis, do you want to take the whole assistant part?
Yeah, this is something the team is actually actively working on. So I think you can intuitively see from the interface and the way we've been shaping the product, that's something we definitely want to do, and it's currently work in progress. So it should be hopefully something you will be able to enjoy very soon.
You can do the others as well.
Are there plans for offering an API for Kagi Assistant in your current roadmap? Yes.
I'm here too, by the way.
Yes, we also have Matt. If you want to add something, feel free to do so, Matt.
No, that's just a hard yes. We're starting by doing it internally within products, and when we're happy with the quality of that, it's gonna probably turn into B2C, just the same way that any other of those APIs should be built, basically.
And what is the Kagi Assistant that I have been hearing about in the Discord? So if you have an Ultimate account, you can, in Discord, we have a pinned message somewhere, but we can also probably paste it here in the comments area afterwards, or one of our colleagues can drop it there. There is our multi-step assistant available as a custom assistant in our initial launch phase, but we will give it a lot of prominence. So this has been the one of the key areas of focus of the AI team. I don't know if you want to add some more color to that, Matt, but generally you can access it as an Ultimate member. Kai has access to several tools other than web search, so it can run code, it can extract full pages, it can do several other things that we currently don't have available to base models. And we also expect to very soon allow you to force it to use tools, for example. So if eventually you want to explicitly have Kai do something, you'll also be able to do it.
Yeah, that's basically that. It also solved the perennial question that even for like complete LM nerds of what model to use is best in what place, because we can just manage the flow ourselves on our side and upgrade it as we find specific models to be better at specific tasks. And so it's just going to be kind of like the Kagi assistant by itself. And then if you want to like specifically use a model, we're not going to stop you from doing that.
Exactly. The way it will be introduced to the product, perhaps it won't be called Kai, but that will be the basis for our Kagi assistant. So there are a lot of exciting things coming up on that front. Are you planning to release an app for Kagi assistant? I mean, yes, that's the answer is yes as well. We've been hiring for mobile developers, similarly to what Vlad said for the search index team. There's also been an ongoing hiring process for mobile. And we have a couple of new colleagues joining us, so we really hope to speed up and improve a lot our mobile apps game, I guess, if I can make that work. And yes, there will be definitely an app for Kagi Assistant.
Also, in the meantime, the Kagi app has a perfectly good assistant app. If the one thing that you're kind of asking is to have like a text box you can click on from your home screen, a good uh, a good intermediary while that app is being developed is just putting exclamation point AI at the end of a query, because from the Android app, it's going to drop you into the assistant app. Same way that if you put a question mark, it's going to trigger a quick answer. So, with 3 extra keystrokes, you have most of the features right now, but there's going to also be, an app being worked on.
Can you release separate apps for assistant and translation for Android and iOS? Yeah, so it's the same kind of answer as the previous one. We will also we have the ambition to also build native apps for translation and maps and some other Kagi products. We feel are a perfect fit to have a native app. We were trying to get those resources in with Kagi, and we hope to very soon give you guys some great apps to have on your probably on your phones. And this was the last one on the assistant, I guess. Do you want to take over Maps, Vlad, or we have Maps plans for VPN and Yandex in big picture?
Sure. Maps, would you ever release the Kagi Maps app for Android and iPhone? Sure, we will. And I am very much looking forward to that. I miss using Kagi Maps native app. We're gonna have a lot of cool features. As I said, we plan to humanize the maps, add stuff that do not exist anywhere in the same way we are doing that with the search and browser. So, if aliens do not abduct our maps team, that will happen, hopefully, maybe even this year. Huge plans for maps. I'm sick of maps going into the commercialization. They've been last 10 years. We have great ideas with what to do there. I've seen Kagi focusing on privacy with Privacy Pass, Assistant, Orion browser, and probably upcoming Mail. I'm curious, any plans on working on Kagi VPN? We have to draw a line somewhere, guys, and the line is right now. The VPN is on the other side of the line. We do not plan to do work on a VPN. I think there's already a lot of very good solutions. We might partner or bundle Kagi with some of them, and if you have ideas, please let us know. But right now, no plans to build our own. Yandex, when will I be able to resubscribe to Kagi without my money going to Russia? Why do you use Yandex? This is enough to make me reconsider my subscription. When can we have the ability to opt out from our subscription money going to Russia? Well, as with any feature, almost on Kagi, there are people that are in support or against it, and there is a Kagi feedback thread at Yandex search results as well to oppose this. But this one also comes loaded with some political background that I also want to address. Basically, there are a lot of people who are passionate about different political topics, and Yandex is not the only one. A few months ago, I got a bunch of emails from some of our subscribers who canceled because President Trump did impose tariffs, and people didn't like that we are a U.S. company. Those are the kind of things we have to deal with, but companies do not operate in vacuum. World is very messy, and we set out to fix search, not the world. So when somebody says if they use Kagi, money is going to support the war in Russia, is similar to saying when you buy an iPhone, you're supporting Communist Party of China, or and then if China invades Taiwan, you should be throwing your iPhone. Like, if we were to operate at that level, Kagi would never exist. So at least from my perspective, we choose to focus on search and products and services. Yandex happens to have good search results. It also happens to improve our redundancy and reduce our dependency, so we can ensure business continuity even if we lose a search index. So from a business perspective, it's completely valid, similar as buying an iPhone, whether you like part of that money going to China or not. So hopefully that explains it. Any follow-ups there?
Don't think so. Someone asked, if tariffs get implemented, will Kagi pricing be affected?
That's an interesting question. We don't know. We will comply with all laws, obviously. But the memo did not reach us.
Yeah, someone says,
So-
I work in supply chain. Tariffs only affect imports of goods. Services aren't affected. So
Okay.
there you go.
Well, yeah, I'm afraid that we cannot control. I mean, the things that are not under our control, we choose not to worry about them, and the things that are under control, like search quality or features in our browser, that is what we are focused on, and this is where we're going to spend our thinking, and this is what most our users are paying us for. So okay, last big picture. What is your vision for Kagi, and what would it look like fully realized? I think I touched on that. The vision is really an integrated ecosystem. And I dream of a scenario where two moms are, hanging out in a park with kids, and one of them says, "My kids are in the Kagi ecosystem," and the other one is asking, "What is Kagi ecosystem?" Because all they know is Google, and then she proceeds to explain, and she's very happy, and then the other mom tries Kagi and likes it too. So it's I think that is our vision. So to offer a really user-centric alternative to big tech, which has been monetizing our attention and data for too long, I feel. And finally, we are creating an option or alternative choice for everyone who wants to use product that is designed in their best interest. as simple as that. And my motivation is pretty selfish. I have three daughters, and I wish them the best in world, and this is why I'm building all this. I want them to have better web than we did, and I hope we get there. So with all your guys' help. What does humanize the web really mean to you? Well, I started using the web in 1995 is when I sent my first email. And for the first 5 or 10 years, it was very different than it is today. You had these random sites, people, self-expressing, being creative, writing all sorts of funny things. And that obviously changed as Google adopted ads as the monetization method. And then with that, the whole web transformed as well. And for the last 2 decades, we had that being the main driver of the growth of the web. And as a result, the quality of the content diminished. Most content produced today is produced with the purpose of being monetized by ads. That's the single reason it exists. There is a tiny fraction of the web which we mostly capture through Kagi small web and in our search results that is content from people who do not care about monetization. They just write because they have something to say. And I think that's beautiful. And that's the part of the web that I think is very important to preserve. So humanizing the web really, to me, means bringing back or having more of the web where humans are in charge versus algorithms and ads and increasingly AI-generated content. Because that kind of web is ugly, unproductive, and useless, I feel. Like, why would we ever want to be exposed to that? Now, we haven't been given much choice in the last 20 years. This principal monetization mechanism just incentivized proliferation of this ugly web. But yeah, we want to have more human writing, more human search results. We are already surfacing blogs from small web in top 2 or 3 results when they're relevant and things like that. We want to do more of these kind of things. We are perhaps too small to do some of the more ambitious things that we want to do with this. But hopefully one day we will be able to do them. And same goes, for maps. Same goes for other stuff you're doing. So, what do you consider your core product, and how do you ensure its quality? Well, I mean, if you look at it from a business perspective, search is our core product. 95% of revenue comes from search, say 5% from browser and other things. We ensure its quality by letting you guys tell us very loudly when it's bad, broken, or sucks, which you have every opportunity to do on our Discord and feedback forums, and we listen very carefully, and I hope you see that we listen. Every single changelog that we publish includes many of your names because you are the one who pointed out that something is bad or needs to be improved. And so far, I think we have closed probably between 5,000 and 10,000 such tickets that have been created by you. So our main method of ensuring quality is giving you an opportunity to voice your opinion and then doing something about it. So we don't have any sort of product metrics or telemetry or things like that. We just sort of rely on you guys being very vocal. And you are, because you're paying for search and you demand high quality, and so it's a beautiful positive feedback loop that happens as a result of all that. And with that, I think we are done, unless we have some follow-ups.
I saw too many, but I mean, right here, I love that Kagi actually surfaces my blog posts when I search for related tech topics. I do zero promotion monetization, so it's refreshing to see that Kagi actually finds my writing relevant. So, yeah, very nice.
Your writing is relevant, and please continue writing.
I have one question, which is, over the past few months, we saw the birth of our kind of secondary mascot, the Kagibara, which I know was, I believe it was Nat's lovely creation. The motto, "Embrace the calm." Where did we get that from? Was that does that come from the user somewhere, or I find it's grown on me so much, because I think of like when I when I view like these AI generated like news posts and other just like stuff like ads everywhere, or fandom wiki. Don't get me started on fandom, but like it's exactly the opposite of that. It's chaos. It's whatever. So browsing Kage through the hand, very calming experience. No ads or anything like that. So yeah. Do you remember where that came from, or because I think I saw you post it first, but I actually don't know the lineage.
I would have sworn it came from Nat, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Is Nat here to resolve the dilemma? Or Ezra maybe knows something? Nah, I think it was Nat that added this. Yeah.
It is awesome. It was Nat. Amazing. Okay, just
Oh,
want to
yeah,
give
there we
credit
go.
where it's due, because it's really great. Humanize the web, embrace the calm. It's all very
Yeah.
very good. Okay, yeah. Well, thank you, Vlad, and thank you everyone for asking questions. You guys all know the feedback form, so feel free to any inspiration struck while we're doing the AMA, feel free to open tickets there. Ask questions in the Discord. We'll keep answering them there, as we always do, 24/7. So yeah, love you guys, and we'll see you at the next event, which I don't know when it'll be. It will at least be our end of the year community event, but maybe sooner. I don't know, but yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Great
Yeah.
questions, and thank you all for reaching together 50,000 customer milestone. Let's do another 50,000 and meet you at 100,000.